The third one you have done in class 11 already. I will just quickly go through it. Basically, you have to remember these few malicious codes. Others are not required because they are not mentioned in the syllabus. Okay. Virus, worm, Trojan, and spyware. If you remember these few, I think more than enough. Okay. And mostly the scenario-based, case study-based question will come. So certain things you have to observe and read very, very carefully and remember a few features. That will be more than enough. Like I told you, all are malicious codes, all are harmful. Okay. Virus first of all requires a file to get attached to. Virus cannot move on all by himself. He will always get attached to a file. Virus is classified three ways. One is called file virus, one is called boot sector virus, another is called macro virus. Okay, out of this is the most dangerous of all, boot sector virus. Boot sector is basically the sector of your secondary storage device, hard disk or CD, whatever you call it, the portion of the secondary storage device which has the operating system in it. Okay, and that particular thing is called boot sector. If it enters the boot sector, normally you cannot do anything by antivirus. You have only one option left in that case, to format the secondary storage device. There will be no other option left. File virus is normally when the virus gets infected. The virus infects a particular executable file. Executable file means the file which can be executed, like exe file, .com file, .bat file. When you're talking about any application, that application file has to be an executable file, right? So normally when the virus resides onto an executable file, we call it file virus. Boot sector virus, when it gets itself attached to a file which is required for booting a system, that means loading an operating system, that is called boot sector virus. And macro is basically a small program, right? It means like MS Excel. In MS Excel, there is an option of creating macros. Macros means it's a kind of a single line command which can replace many commands. Okay, all of you write programs. Like if you imagine 10 lines program, there is a program called program we wrote where there are 10 lines. If those 10 lines can be replaced by a single line, so that can be an example of macro. So there is a way to create macros, and basically macro virus attack the file, document file normally, and those document files, if created through the software where the facility of macro is there, like MS Excel, MS Word, where the macros can be created, those document files generally it attacks. But virus at the end of the day requires a file to get attached. As long as that file is there in my system, I am not using it, there is no harm. But the day I will open the file, okay, particularly say I'm having a file, say question.docx. In the question.docx there is a virus in it. If I do not open that file, nothing is going to happen. But the day I will open it, what will happen? When the file is opening, my other system files of MS Word, they will be also involved. In any software, to develop any software, you need to have a lot of DLL files. Everybody will be involved. So those will be involved, all will be infected that way. That is how it keeps on infecting the files. But worm, on the other hand, what happens? It doesn't require any file. It's a malicious code which normally comes through the network. Okay, when you are connected to the network and all, and they come and they just occupy the disk space. And they have a property of multiplying themselves. From one particular file, 5 other files will generate. From those 5 other files, more files will generate. That is how they will multiply themselves and they will clog the disk space. Number one. Number two, if in a network, like imagine our computer lab, we have 8-9 systems which are connected through a local area network. So if we have worms moving out, then what will happen? We have a particular bandwidth, we get a particular speed when we transfer a file from one computer to other computer. So in this case, what will happen? The worms will occupy most of the bandwidth, most of the speed. eat up the speed. So what will happen? We will see the data transmission is becoming very, very slow in this case. So in a bigger way, if you view in a networking, if worm gets in, it basically slows down the entire data transmission. Trojan and spyware are more or less same thing. Okay, it's very difficult to distinguish their behavior. Means if you are infected by Trojan or a spyware, many cases they behave more or less in the same way. But Trojan, as you know, Trojan will infect you while you are downloading a particular program, you are installing a particular program from an untrusted website. You thought that program is quite good to you, but in the name of good, you got the program installed, but you invited a trouble also, that is Trojan. That is how the Trojan can enter your system. That means while installing a program which appears to be useful to you, and then you unknowingly you install the malicious code also. Another way it can happen if you click on the links which are given in spam mails and all, right? That way also it can happen. Trojan normally does a lot of harm. Your system might slow down. Trojan can do a lot of harmful activities, like it can spy on your computer. Though spyware also can do such things, but Trojan particularly can note down, all the keys which are basically pressed from your computer. That means it can note down various password and other things that you are using. Fine. These are all the things the Trojan can do. Systems will run very, very slow. That is one of the basic characteristics of Trojan, and will not let many of the applications run properly. Okay. And slowly it can cause the crash of the system, complete crash of the system also. Fine. Spyware, on the other hand, will not be like that. Both Trojan and spyware, they will take the backdoor entry. That means they will use the loopholes that are there in your firewall or in your security system, and they will try to get in. If they can beat the loopholes, then they will get in and harm your computer. Spyware also more or less the same thing. Spyware mostly comes through the link that we get mostly in the unsolicited mails, or what we call as spam. Spam, I believe you know, emails that we receive from some unknown sources, and sometimes they give various links. Never ever click that link, because that is one of the good ways of avoiding Trojan and spyware. The spyware can happen through this. Spyware can also come through your computer when you install pirated, the softwares, pirated movies, pirated songs, pirated images. When you try to download freely, you download movies, songs. That way also spyware can come in. And spyware has another capacity which Trojan doesn't have. Spyware fiddles around with the security settings. Various kinds of settings that you have done, it will upset the complete setting, it will delete everything from there. So the kinds of settings which you have done, you will find that it is not there. So if it disturbs your firewall setting, then what will happen? It will loosen the firewall settings, and that is how it will make an entry for other malicious code to come in and attack your computer. So one basic thing you remember, that when in a case study based question we see that involvement of a file is there, that a file I executed, and after that I found there is a problem in my system, you will know it is a virus. While installing a particular program which I thought would be useful, I realized that after installation of that important program that I had to, I am having some problem in my system, and I guess some malicious code has come in. That will be the case of Trojan horse. And spyware, normally it will come through the spam mails, as I told you. It can come through the pirated, while downloading pirated movies, songs and all. And in both cases, system will slow down like anything. Fine. So these are other common things. Normally a question they give, that how can you avoid that? First of all, spam mails you delete instantly. Even if you open a mail, do not click on the unknown link. Sometimes we get the pop-ups also. Now without reading the pop-ups, you should not click on it. That is the third measure you can take. And fourth is obviously you can tighten your firewall setting, and you can install a good antivirus software. That these are the ways. And one more important thing is that you should always go for updation, or you should always basically update your operating system. You should always accept the updates and regularly connect it to the internet so that the updates are taken, and try to use always the original softwares, because the kind of updates the original softwares would take, a pirated version of Windows 10 will not take that, right? So it is advisable always to use the original software as much as you can. Then it will be updated, and that itself will be a safeguard to most of the malicious codes, right?